Good afternoon today to you, to our next webinar. Today we have very hot topic. We will talk about high available cluster DSS V7 and using a maintenance mode. The maintenance mode is a new feature which is giving us option to even replace one of the node while in production without any downtime. So now this will be very easy job if you compare to the previous versions. So we are proud to demonstrate this new option today. We have this new maintenance mode in version UP, so update 56, which was released this Monday. This is very fresh, but it was in test since almost 2 months in our QA. So the product must be stable, and also you can check this by yourself, and we will also show on the webinar today. In this new version, we next to HA cluster maintenance mode, we have a few improvements for the data replication. So in the data replication, we'll have a option to use not just send the files, but send a part of the file, so-called block mode. Also, there is option to send data as a compressed, to send the data as encrypted, and we have also option to monitor data replication. I will not demonstrate how to use it today. I will just show, because our focus is on HA maintenance, cluster maintenance mode. Also, we have severity levels for the email notification, some driver updates. Just read, please, release notes for the details. And our live demo today will be showing how to reconfigure or how to even replace the node without downtime. So I will switch to our first server. Here we have installed latest DSS V7, but the special version, which is just NAS for Cloud Data Protection Service by MSP, Managed Service Providers. But in this case, data replication is exactly identical as in the full version of DSS V7. This version is a limited version, which is probably used as a focus to use just make a backup at MSP for end user, right? So we will just go to the maintenance, backup, and data replication. You can see that I have already defined a replication task. Okay, this replication task is defined. And on the left side, I have an option to set the interval or a weekly schedule. I was setting interval every 10 minutes. So the system, when I go to status tasks, I supposed to see that every 10-minute data replication. Okay, when I select data replications, I should see only start and stop of the data replication. So this is every 10 minutes. So you see 1550, 1600, 1540. So the 40 minutes past 3 and the 30 minutes past 3 and so on. So in some cases I will see that there are some maybe data replicated. In some cases not, if I was not changing anything, right? And as I mentioned, we have a Checkmk DSS monitor as a data monitor, and you will see how it works. So here is a last week, and here is a last hour. So sorry, the last day and the last week. So here we have a every 10 minutes. So there is a one small peak which is going in direction 1. It is staying at 1 when it takes a bit more to replicate. So if I was copying some new data, it was touching 1. That's the one, right? When I do not have any data, it is just starting and stopping almost at once. So I see very small peak here my destination cluster was switched off, so you see for this period of time the replication didn't work. So on the very first look you can see when the replication was working and when was not working, right? So that's very nice. You can see here it was working all the time, and here for testing I was switching off the cluster, so I see and the replication was not able to work. And in my status tasks, you see I was having the errors, and of course I receive very nice email about it. Okay, that's my data replication tasks. If I go one more time to data replication task definition, you see we can select encryption protocol, right? And we can give the destination IP, which will be the maybe local or over WAN. Just go to help and check about the new options. The new options are described also here. We are using, when you have an encrypted connection, we are using 40,000 as a port, but there is option you can enter IP address colon and port. So let's say when you enter 192, let's say 168 100, or let's say 111, something like this, just for testing, and a colon, you can send 40,001, for example, right? So you are free to define the port which you are going to use, and on your router on the destination side you need to define the port redirection, right? So that's the new option. Destination share, that's nothing new. And compression, you can select very high compression or lower compression but better speed, of course, right? But today's CPU are quite good, so you can select even high compression, but of course when it will be too slow you can change the task and redefine with lower compression ratio. These are same as usual. The new option which was already in UP54, that's the we have extra recycle folder when the deleted data on the destination will be moved. Also the previous version of the files will be also moved to the recycle folder with the full path, right? So, and you see also on the rest we have replication mode. File based is the default, but block based is also option. If we have big files and a slow connection, then maybe will be faster to move only the part of the files which were changed. In such case you will use block. In case of local area network, so in LAN, that very seldom will be faster option. That probably in most cases you will use file based, so without checking the deltas but sending the files. That's why we have also described this option here. Okay, that was news about the data replication and this Checkmk monitor for the data replication. We have a manual showing this, and we'll have also a webinar showing how to configure this. Okay, and in administrator settings, the option now finally to send the errors, so send the errors or actually events, and then you can select whether you want to send errors only, send errors and warnings, and send errors, warnings, and the information. This is exactly what you have in event viewer. In event viewer we can have errors only, warnings, or information. So by default we are sending everything, but if you think that you only need the most important stuff, then you can just select here send errors and you will get errors only. Okay, that was about news, what's new in UP56. Now let us switch to our live demo. Maybe I will show you also the destination. Destination cluster. So that's my destination cluster. That's the active NFS failover cluster. In this case, active passive because I have one pool, but of course you can have active as well. And if I will go to shares, that's the backup demo. That's the share which I'm do backup on. So that's the backup demo share, and you see I have this data which I have on my source, and I have the recycle folder, which everything what I was deleting or changing, it is in this recycle folder inside, right? So that you see there are some data which are now replicated. The source of my data is on another server. That's exactly here, and that I will show you the source directory. That's exactly my source directory, right? So if I will want to copy this, I can copy this one more time, and then of course it will copy. After the next 10 minutes interval, this new copy will be moved to the server. And let's say if I will delete this and this will be moved to the recycle folder on the destination once the replication backup is done. Okay, so that was about the replication. We can just remove it, and now let us switch to our main topic. So we have a cluster, active cluster. I have two nodes. Two nodes are quite simple. I have just no multipath, single path, so I will show you how the cluster is configured. At this moment both resource pools are running on A. Maybe I will switch and move the second resource pool to be running on B. I will show you the setup. The first resource pool has just one path for the virtual IP. I have iSCSI targets here. That will be exactly the same with the NFS failover. My iSCSI target, I have two, of course. They are exported via virtual IP, which is in our case one. Now it is not showing. Let us wait to finish this. Okay, maybe I will show you also the virtual machines, how they are configured. Okay, so the first target is exported via 192.168.21.100, and we are using ETH0 on both. And here we are using same cards to export second and 192.168.22.100. That's our targets, right? And you see in iSCSI resources I have one volume, and here I have another volume, right? So when I go to configuration volume replication, then we see LV00, which is source here, and LV0100, which is source on another node. So here it's a destination, right? So we have very simple cluster. We have two volume groups, and in first volume group we have just 5 giga disk, and in the second we have a 6 giga disk. Okay, so small because replication takes some time, and in our demo we will be not waiting so long time. That's why I was making small volumes that we can do very nice demo and very quick. Okay, so that's the simple cluster we have now. I will show how it is connected into VMware. That's our node A and node B. Node A, I can also show the console of this node. Okay, that's the console. 0 to 120, 1 to 120, and maybe I will F5 to refresh the screen. Okay, and the second okay, 0 2 to 1 and 1 2 to 1. Very simple setup. You see, it is possible to make active-active failover cluster just with two Ethernet adapters. We are not able to make multipath, right? But we are able to make the cluster. I was minimizing all this stuff to make the our demo faster. So that's the cluster which is running, and this cluster it is exporting storage to our VMware. So here, when I go to storage adapters, you see I have in properties, I don't have any binding, I have no dynamic discovery, everything is just a static discovery, and we discovered this 2100 target 0. We don't have multipaths, we have just two targets, so and 2200 target 1, right? And both logical units are shown here, and you see that's our 5 giga unit and 6 giga unit, and I have already them connected. So that's HA iSCSI 0 for the target, for the first target, and that's the iSCSI 1 for the second target. So also here I was already, I went to browser, so just go like this, right mouse click, browse data store, that's my data store, and that's exactly my high availability data store. Okay, so I can just refresh, everything is working well. So our goal will be, oh, what happened here? Probably we have some errors. The second node was something wrong with the second machine. So I don't know even what happened. I was going to switch off the second machine, but it is switched off by itself. Okay. It's not switched off, it was just an alarm. So let us see. It was probably overloaded. Maybe something wrong in the definition of the machine. But okay, we have no time to investigate this problem, but what we can do, in our case, we are going to switch off the second machine. Maybe this is my good chance there is something wrong with this machine. So we should get rid of this machine, right? So what I will do, I will just power off this machine. Okay, so power off. When we do power off, so now the activity of this volume which was moved to the second machine will be taken by the first machine, right? So, and the cluster after refresh, that's the second machine, of course. So the second machine will show nothing because I was just powering off. We have already slowly coming that the sync is not working. cluster is running in the degraded mode. Okay, the second machine disappear, and both resource pools are overtaken by our machine A as expected, and then we can go to volume replication, so we see we are source. So this second machine is not answering, of course, because it's power off. So now my cluster is still up and running. Here I have access to my resource pool, target 0. So I'm still happy man. Because of the failure, we power off the second machine, but now we find out that is real hardware failure. We need to replace the machine. So in my case, because this is a virtual machine, I could delete it, but much faster will be I will just disconnect from my network. So I have a special switch which calls no adapters. To make sure that I'm not connected to anything, I will switch to no adapter switch. Okay. And I can get rid of this machine, just moving this machine to another folder. And in this folder, I have a spare machine prepared. So I will move this machine here. And of course, I need to start this machine. So this spare machine, to save time, I could now define new machine, but to save time, I was already preparing a spare machine, which has exactly same two virtual hard disk, which was installed with DSS V7 on this boot disk. Okay, and it has adapters which are connected to switch, not non-adapters. So I will need to reconnect them to my switch when I'm operating. Okay, so when the machine will start, then I will have access to this machine. Otherwise, I will show you there is one switch here in the networking, which is called no adapters switch, and this switch has no adapters. Yeah, that's the case. And now our node B is now connected here because I was connecting this node B, which I was powering off to this switch. Okay, so now it's time for us to check whether this machine is up and running. So this is still booting. Okay, so we can see the progress here. It is still booting. We don't need this. And we have also all the time access to this machine, right? So now there will be a good question how to join the second machine, which will be just kind of empty. The new network cards, other one as a original machine, and new hard disks. Everything was empty, right? So we will we have now a new option in the DSS on console. When I go to console, and Control Alt X, there is an option which called the last option, cluster maintenance mode. So here I have, after installing you will have it disabled, but I have enabled this already. And how it works I will show you in the help. So when you will go to a failover, and you click on help, you will see that there is a cluster maintenance mode, right? It's described here. And cluster maintenance mode important nodes are also here, so you can click in this quick start, and we described this option like node replacement or network card replacement or cluster reconfiguration, right? You can do plenty different tasks. Okay, so in our case, because this cluster maintenance mode is enabled already, so when we stop, then we have a new options: stop and enable virtual IP and stop and disable virtual IP. Of course, in our case, we want to join the second node and then keep production, so we will have to reconfigure the cluster. But in order to reconfigure the cluster, that will be bad if we're using previous version, because then we need to configure multipath from the client side to physical the ports, and it's a bit complicated. So now will be much easier. We can stop and enable virtual IP. So now my cluster services are stopping, but I have access to my data store, which is on the first resource pool on this cluster, and we see cluster is stopped already, but I keep the access, so there is no problem with my data stores. I go here, both storage data stores which I have on this cluster are up and running, and they are available. Okay, so everything is nice. Cluster, say here, is ready to start. We can go to volume replication, and we can run the disconnect option. Okay, so disconnect. Let us see whether second is still booting. So of course we have an internal error because could not perform the operation. The second node is not available. Okay. Let us repeat. Unable to connect to the remote node. It was, I guess, the problem. Normally you will disconnect without any problem, but the second was just starting and trying to connect. I was using this machine before already, and that could be the strange problem. Okay, anyway, this one show that it is the binding is no more there. So when I go to failover setup, see there is no failover setup, right? But no problem, I'm keeping my virtual IP running, so I have access as usual. So business as usual. Let us see what's going on with the second node. It is still booting. Oh no, it's booted already. So you see the IP address is 221, and I have info that I have to create a volume group, because on the second one there is no volume group created, because I was just probably recreate the disks new from scratch. So we can go to volume groups and okay, we can create it. You will have it always when you just replace array, create new array, so a new from scratch, or just buy new server or replace array. That will be the same problem. In most cases you will have one volume group. I was just preparing two to show a bit more. Okay, the first one is done, so let us make the second one. And now I will show you on the first server we have the in VG00 we have the volume which is 5 giga, and VG01 we have volume which is 6 giga. So let us create exactly the same. Anyway, we must create exactly the same. So iSCSI volume with volume replication, okay, and 5. That's the first one, and then we go to the second volume group and we create the 6 giga iSCSI volume, okay, with volume replication, and that's 6. Okay. Oh, here there is not enough space. Okay, it was not refreshed, so iSCSI six. Okay, so now we have a 6 giga, one more refresh, and there is a volume replication inside. So when we go to volume replication, both volumes show in source mode, but of course we need to switch them to destination, and such created volumes we will have problem to replicate on top on this, so we will have to clear metadata, but I will show you that it's error coming, so and then we will clear the metadata, that you are prepared on all situations which are coming. So I will just bind both hosts one more time, so 192.168.1.221 and admin. That's the current administrator password always. So we are connecting these, and now we will be creating for the both volumes replication task, of course on our node A. Okay, so I just first task M like mirror for the LV00 and M like mirror for LV100, so the second volume group. Okay, now when I start, there will be the problem to start. So in the status tasks, we will see the error because the application is not able to recognize that these volumes can be overwritten. So we've got error. So in order to avoid this error, you just need to clear metadata. So when the metadata is fresh, cleaned, there is a signal or tag that any replication task can be started and override. Okay, so we can just select both, and now both tasks will start. So next we need to export iSCSI targets. So we go to node A and we copy SCSI ID. Okay, so I will copy SCSI ID, and then on B we need to create a target. Okay, so we are creating exactly the same target name as on the first server. And we select this target and we override SCSI ID. Okay, paste. So then we attach to the first target and we will repeat the same for the second target. So I will be also copying the SCSI ID, and I will create the second target. Okay, we overwrite SCSI ID. So now the last step, we can come back to node A and we can finish defining the cluster details. So auxiliary path means heartbeat paths. We have only 2 ports, so only 2 heartbeat path. We have 2 ping nodes, so 192.168.0.20. That's the first ping node. Please, 200. I guess that will be the problem. Please always have 2 ping nodes at least, 2 or 3 or 4. 192.168.0.20. I have 0.20 and 0.100 2 ping nodes prepared. Mostly that will be every node will be as a ping node over a storage client. 192.168.0.100. Okay. The cluster starts with single ping node, but it is not recommended. Redundancy is required here. So the last step, we need to enter our virtual IP, and our ETH0 will be the virtual IP because ETH1 is used already for volume replication. (192.168.2100). This is exactly our virtual IP address range logic, which is always a first resource pool is always 1 on the end, second resource pool is 2 on the end. I talk about 21, and the first path is 20, a second is 30, because on every pool will have one path, then we have a 21 and 22. So that's the 21, and ETH0 is our export. Okay, 192.168.2200. Okay, that's our virtual IP on the second resource pool. By the way, if you will have one resource pool, then you have just active passive. When you have 2 resource pools, that's a load balance active. Okay, both virtual IPs are already created. The first resource pool will get target 0, the cluster resource pool, and the second cluster resource pool will take target 1. Because we have 2, so we can move activity on both nodes accordingly, and then we can have the load balance. But now, of course, both need to be source on A, because the node B was just new from scratch, and then let us see whether the tasks are done already. The tasks are already consistent by meantime. It was 5 and 6 giga, so it was quite fast when it was replicating. I can maybe show it one more time. Okay, when I will go to volume replication. So maybe I will stop the first one. Then I will delete the metadata. I need to stop, otherwise I cannot delete the metadata, right? So now the metadata is deleted. So now the task has no idea what is in sync and not, means nothing is in sync, and this task will need to mirror exactly the whole volume. Means in our case that will be exactly 5. Okay, the task is already listed, and we see the destination is of course inconsistent until it will move all the 5,000 megabyte, means 5 giga, right? So it was moving very fast, okay, because everything is local, so that's why I wanted to show you that this is really overwriting the data, okay? So now our both resource pool are active here. Everything is already ready to start, so I can start my cluster, and again I will show you what's going on with my volume. So production works, no downtime, and my cluster was fully reconfigured by meantime. Of course I could show you both, but believe me, everything works as expected. So we are just starting the cluster. So in maintenance mode, starting the cluster takes at least 1 minute longer, because in this case, as you see, we are starting cluster not as usual, that we were validating everything, that the first volume is active on A, the second volume need to be active on B. Now we skip this and we allow to start both resource pools on node to be active on A, and that's the reason it takes about 1 up to 2 even minutes longer starting the cluster. But thanks of this, this is thanks of this maintenance mode. And look, on the second machine I didn't need to enable maintenance mode, because when the maintenance mode was enabled on A and was not on B, then we were of course enabling this automatically. Normally when you will have both machines up and running, you can enable maintenance mode on one, and this will be propagating on both. So we see now my volume is up and running, cluster says already started. After starting, you may see just for a few seconds error, and then it will be refreshing for the local, for the green. So now everything is started, up and running, and also the move buttons are already active, right? So the first resource, this is unusual situation. First resource pool was usually always active on A. Second resource pool was active on remote node. Now both are active here, of course, because here we have our data, and on the B we have just replicated the data. If you have bigger volume, of course, it may take few hours until data are in sync. So you will have the cluster started in the degraded mode, and wait. You will need to wait until replication or mirroring is finished, completed. Okay. So now when we want to have load balance, of course we need to move the second resource pool to node B. Then since this is moved to node B, then we start load balance. I will still switch to the, I will show you there is a new line in the status which shows maintenance mode, right? And maintenance mode status is now on. I can go and edit our cluster maintenance mode. It is enabled when I switch to disabled. I go again, so now the status is disabled, and when we show in our GUI, now the status is off, and on B it is same. Right, so when I will be stopping, now there is just option to stop. When I switch back, okay, and then switch to enabled, apply, okay, when I come back, you see it is enabled now. I can exit now, and now you see it is on. So now the difference is when I stop, I have this new menu when I can keep the virtual IP address up and running while I'm stopping the cluster. Of course, when you have 4 virtual IP will be up and running. And please note, when you will reconfigure the cluster, when you reconfigure the cluster, you must of course reconfigure identical virtual IP. That's very critical, and please don't play with this and change the virtual IP, because of course when you are running on 2100 and you will change to, let's say, 100, then of course cluster after starting will be stopping this temporary virtual IP and will be switching to this what you have defined. Okay, so that was the maintenance mode. We can have of course more demonstrations, like replacing just one card or replacing just storage. We are going also to plan or schedule next webinars like this, a bit shorter, but now you have an idea when you are replacing the whole node how it works and how easy it can be done. So I hope that is quite clear, and if you have any questions, just you can send this to chat. If this is clear, I would like to thank you very much for being with us today, and I can point you to our website where you can find our next webinar. Anyway, you will get also invitation soon. So thank you very much for joining us today, and have a nice day, and have a nice exercise with the cluster maintenance mode. Thank you very much, and bye.